What's up, people? So concerning sort of malicious entities that don't like truth, or the ones that don't like themselves, or the ones that don't like anything, right? Maybe they don't like anything, and they don't like situations. So say they want a different situation to happen than actually happened as per the participant's memory. And we have technology, right? Technology is increasing, depending on your view. Or technology has already all been released up and down the timelines, and we're simply experiencing a facet in which all of it has not been publicly released. But assuming that technology does reach its sort of final form, and you know, we don't know necessarily exactly what that would look like, but if beings that want to misrepresent, or they want to change history, or they want to tell lies, basically, you know, the negative oriented entities, if you have technology that you can simply create a situation, like we take as evidence, we take photos, we take video evidence, these things could simply be created, just made up on the spot, even if they had no relevance to what they are depicting. And then, to make it even more complicated, if memory wipes and sort of artificial memory insertions are a thing at some point along the timelines, then you could imagine the sort of chaos and confusion that would ensue directly following that sort of ability. And I'm not even necessarily saying if the people involved are your most uprighteous moral beings possible. I don't even think it matters. If you have that situation where memories are being tampered with and or inserted, and sort of situations are being entirely created out of nothing at all, aside from a desire in the mind of one for a situation to have been a certain way, then these sort of tamperings would start reflecting back and forth on each other. It would have a negative causal loop effect. And I assume that this has already been seen as part of the looks into the many possible worlds that Aug talks about in his latest post. He said even if people have seen endless variations of possible hell realms and endless variations of possible resolutions, or endless variations of heaven realms, like an even amount of both sides. Even if you had this machine that he's talking about, if it's the Montauk chair or if it's whatever, if it's simply taking some substances and getting a whiff of the possibilities, Even he said that he wasn't shown the whole picture, and that nobody was shown the whole picture, and nobody ever is shown the whole picture. It's impossible. It's impossible for your human brain to comprehend. You know, it's barely possible for our human brain and mind and ego mind complex to understand this as stepped down and compacted as that we can feel that it is. It's not even you feel it on a very visceral level that it's a contraction. Really, you don't need to see like multiple hell realms. You don't. You really only need to see one. If you see one sort of like a cause and effect chain, you just see one with your own eyes rather than being sort of shielded by it like we are right now. Just seeing that one is it's enough to cure you instantly of sort of selfish behavior. I mean, it's not enough to cure you instantly if you don't retain the memory. But in the moment, it's so overwhelming that it's seeing that sort of web of possibilities is what's responsible for the primal fear, or what's responsible for causing people to cry out to God, or falling on their knees, or saying, Jesus, save me, or all of this stuff that people genuinely do and have done countless times. It's caused by seeing like a sliver of the picture. It's just a smidgen. Being as these sort of memories of these visions can't be consciously held because the mind can't handle it, somehow they are held in another way, but still like the residue is known. At least to me, the residue is known, so therefore I behave myself in a certain way with relation to that residue knowledge. And we just have to accept a lot of things, you know, like, there's nothing else to do about it. You can call it faith in God, you can call it trust in God. It's just as much of that as it is, like, trust in anything, because the amount of ways that it can go wrong, but I mean, those are also counterbalanced by the amount of ways that it can go right. It's always lying there in the balance, you know, in the 0 point. And I feel like the event has already happened. Whatever this event is, whatever this transcendental object at the end of time that people talk about, or the singularity, or living in a black hole, or the we're all dead and this is the afterlife theory, or the countless millions of other ones. The reason I feel why we have all of these sort of theories, and why we can't really say that it's for sure any one of them, or that it's for sure not any one of them, a logical explanation for that would be that we've gone through every single one of them in some way, shape, or form. Including this one, somehow. And there's, of course, like, paradox involved, and there is contradiction involved, and it's confusing. You know, if you try to use your mind to figure it out, it's very confusing. But it's also not. We're living in a thing that is and isn't at the same time. It's a quantum paradox. The fact of anything existing at all is a quantum paradox. And that gives rise to endless philosophy and head-scratching situations and people talking words that don't agree with each other, and the definitions aren't the same, and everybody subjectively interprets them anyway. And that's what it is. And it always comes down to, even like Aug said in his latest post, which was really good, it comes down to you. It comes down to me. We either take responsibility for this situation that we're in somehow, or we say, I didn't do it. You know? Just some thoughts. I hope everybody's doing well, and take care. Peace.